Jeyanthi. Mahatma Gandhi has been given the title Father of India as he took up the path of non-violence to fulfill his goals. An international organization like the United Nations General Assembly has marked his birth anniversary as the International Day of Non-Violence, which is October 2. Gandhiji's life has been an inspiration to many because of the life he led. It is truly incredible how a barrister who was so nervous to make a speech in London court went on to lead the Indian national movement. Now let us learn about the man himself. The full name of Mahatma Gandhi was Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. He took birth in the state of Gujarat in the town named Porbandar. The legacy which Gandhiji has left behind still impacts the people living in the modern times. His hard work to achieve Swaraj are truly commendable. Not only that, but Gandhiji also worked to get rid of other social evils to make India an inclusive country. He worked tirelessly to remove the system of untouchability, which was very prevalent back then. Moreover, he also empowered women and worked to enhance the economic condition of the Indian farmers in addition to much more. Not only that, he played a very important role in the three major movements. They were the non-cooperation movement, Dandi March and the Quit India movement. In other words, he is one of the most important figures to help India get freedom from the British rule. Nothing trampled Gandhiji's spirit even though he was imprisoned and discriminated against badly by the Britishers. Even though his body was frail, his ambitions were stronger. He surprised everyone with his undying determination by walking 440 kilometers on the foot to defy the salt tax. These are just some of the contributions of the man to Indian history. The whole country of India joyfully celebrates Gandhi Jeyanthi. The government declared holiday and all schools, colleges, offices, banks, etc. remain closed. It would be fair to say that Gandhiji was indeed the greatest person to support democracy. He did not let anything deter his fight for independence and eradication of social issues. His principles of truth and non-violence are not just limited to India. In fact, the whole world followed him and his teachings. Although he was assassinated, it only killed his body because his ideas still live in the hearts of the people. Proud of him, proud of India.
It is indeed rare for someone to create as great an impact on nation as Mahatma Gandhi did with India. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, who has the honorific Mahatma added to his name, was an Indian lawyer, politician and anti-colonial nationalist. Furthermore, Gandhi came forward with highly successful non-violent resistance against British rule. Moreover, this man was inspired by several civil rights and freedom movements across the world. Mahatma Gandhi came into this world on October 2, 1869. The great personality was born in an Indian Gujarati family. Lord training of this man took place at the Inner Temple in London. The making of his greatness took place in South Africa. It was here that Mahatma Gandhi spent a significant part of his life. Furthermore, in South Africa, Mahatma Gandhi raised his family. Most important thing, it was here that Gandhi fought for civil rights by employing non-violent resistance. When Mahatma Gandhi came to South Africa, he had to deal with racial discrimination due to his skin color. Once while traveling on a stagecoach along with Europeans, he was asked to sit near the driver on the floor. Mahatma Gandhi came forward with his refusal as clearly this was a great humiliation for him. Consequently, Gandhi had to suffer beating because of his refusal. In another incident, Mahatma Gandhi was forcefully made to quit a train at Pietermaritzburg in South Africa. This was due to his adamant refusal to quit the first class. Consequently, he spent the entire night shivering in the train station. Such events of pure racial discrimination were certainly instrumental in shaping the ideology of this great man. Ultimately, Mahatma Gandhi began to question the standing of his people in the British Empire. Mahatma Gandhi came back to India in 1915. By this time, there was significant escalation in the reputation of this man. Furthermore, Mahatma Gandhi became famous as leading Indian nationalist. After his return, Gandhi became part of the Indian National Congress. In 1920, this man took leadership of the Congress. As a part of the freedom struggle, Mahatma Gandhi launched important movements like Champaran Satyagraha, Keda Satyagraha, Khilafat, Non-Cooperation, Salt Satyagraha, Civil Disobedience and Quit India. This shows the immense contribution of this man towards Indian independence. Mahatma Gandhi was a huge advocate of non-violence. In fact, we can safely say that he was the originator of the principle of non-violence. Furthermore, he was the first person to apply this concept on such a massive political scale. This man was always preached people regarding the importance of ahimsa or non-violence. If you want to learn more about Gandhi's idea regarding non-violence or ahimsa, then refer to his famous autobiography, The Story of My Experience with Truth. One incident which clearly shows Mahatma Gandhi's staunch support for non-violence was the Chaura incident. In this incident, angry demonstrators attacked the police station and set fire to the police station. Consequently, there was death of 22 policemen. Most noteworthy, there was halting of ongoing successful non-cooperation movement by Gandhi due to this incident. He took decision to halt non-cooperation movement because he was strictly against violence of any kind. He was a staunch man who would never tolerate the tarnishing of his movement with any kind of violence. Mahatma Gandhi was a man who gave his whole life to the nation. No doubt, people refer to him as the father of nation. His empathy for the poor, oppressed and lower caste people is absolutely unparalleled. This great man continues to command respect not only in India but all over the world. Jai Hind.
Hello everyone. Today, let me narrate something about a martyr who is considered to be a great pride for our nation since very long. Eager to know who he is? Yes, he is none other than Mahatma Gandhi. Now, I'll say a few incidents which happened in Gandhi's life, and those are the one which made his unique characters as well. The first incident that I'm about to tell will be the one which made Gandhiji a honest person. When Gandhiji was a teenager, he was misled by one of his friends. His friend triggered Gandhiji and diverted his mind to eat meat, which was unusual and considered to be a malpractice in his family as he was from an orthodox background. And not only this, his friend also misled Gandhiji in many other ways. Once, Gandhiji realized his mistakes. Immediately, he wrote a letter to his father which conveyed his request of apology for his mistakes. He then totally changed his mistakes that he did so far. Gandhiji felt very bad that this incident made him shed tears and turned him to be honest towards his father. The second incident that I am about to convey defines Gandhiji's truthfulness. Once, in a class dictation test conducted by an invigilator from elsewhere to test the knowledge of students of that school, was one of the incidents which is very inspiring to hear. Gandhiji's class teacher was nervous and was very particular to prove the invigilator that his students were good at spellings. So, when he saw Gandhiji writing the spelling of a word wrongly, he insisted Gandhiji secretly to look at his benchmate's answer and correct his answer. But Gandhiji did not do it. After the test, when his teacher asked Gandhiji about this, he replied that he wished to be truthful. This incident is very peculiar in defining Gandhiji and his character. So, from these two incidents, we understand that we have to be honest and truthful to everyone. As Gandhiji avoided the malpractices introduced by his friend and corrected himself by avoiding it, we should also ignore the misleading people in our life and always take up the positive attitudes introduced to us by our well-wishers. Thank you.
The great freedom fighter, also known as Bapu or Father of the Nation, who ultimately got freedom for our nation is Mahatma Gandhi. He was born on 2nd October 1869 at Porbandar in Gujarat. He was matriculated in 1887 and went to England to study law. On his return to India as a barrister, he had to go to South Africa to follow a case. There, he was pained to see the conditions of Indians at the hands of foreign rulers. By seeing this, Gandhi started a movement against this oppression. He was soon popular for his devout ways against oppression through non-violent ways. On his return to India in 1913, he took active part in the movement against British rule and joined Indian National Congress. Mahatma Gandhi gave a new shape to the freedom movement. He introduced all non-violent ways to fight the foreign rulers. He led 4 civil disobedience movements and was jailed many times. He became a leader of the masses very soon as he took the movement to the common Indian people by looking into the problems of the farmers, workers and the untouchables. He called them Harijans or the men of God. His approach was quite novel and effective. Mahatma Gandhi was a believer of the principle work is worship. His work with charkha or the spinning wheel brought a revolution in the minds of the people. He stressed upon the freedom from poverty along with political freedom. He proved practically that the weapon of non-violence is the strongest ever weapon to fight against anything or anyone. The power of British had to bow before him. They saw in him a power which could not be subdued. They had finally to give up and India became independent in 1947. Though India gained independence, the partition of India and Pakistan created much pain and a lot of bloodshed. This earned many opposers of Gandhi. One morning, Gandhi folded his hands, greeted his audience with a namaskar and was about to leave for prayer. At that moment, a young man named Nathuram Godse came up to him, suddenly took a revolver out of his pocket and shot him 3 times in his chest. Bloodstains appeared over Gandhi's white woolen shawl. His hands still folded in a greeting, Gandhi uttered, Hey Ram, and left the world. Though Gandhi had died, he is respected all over the world. His principles are known as Gandhism. The whole world respects him as a great man. So let us all celebrate Gandhi's birthday in a united and a happy way. Jai Hind.
Non-violence is a weapon of the strong. And we know this is the words of our father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi, who struggled a lot for nation and its independence. And I am Harshavardhana of 9th from SVM CBSE school. Gandhiji got the name Mahatma because the Mahatma means a great soul in Sanskrit. As he got a great soul, he was called Mahatma by Rabindranath Tagore in 1915. And Gandhi said that he never accepted the title because he considered himself unworthy for it. He was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 5 times between 1937 and 1948. Mahatma Gandhi was a great patriotic Indian. If not the greatest, he was a man of an unbelievable great personality. Furthermore, his efforts for Indian independence are just and parallel. Mahatma Gandhi was a notable public figure. His role in social and political reform was instrumental. Above all, he rid the society of these social wills. Hence, many oppressed people felt great relief because of his effort. Gandhi became a famous international figure because of these efforts. Most noteworthy, he said that each person should consume according to his needs. The main question that he raised was, how much should a person consume? Gandhi certainly put forward this question. Gandhiji's campaigns against excessive industrial development. Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of non-violence is probably his most important contribution. This philosophy of non-violence is known as Ahimsa. Ahimsa, non-violence, and Satya, truth, were the ideals of Mahatma Gandhi. He not only contributed in India's freedom struggle, but also inspired people across the world and raised the voice against discrimination of caste, color, and religion. Gandhiji's main aim was to seek independence without violence. Secularism is yet another contribution of Gandhi. His belief was that no religion should have a monopoly on the truth. Last but not the least, Albert Einstein said, I believe that Gandhi's views were the most enlightened of all the political men of our time. We should strive to do things in his spirit, not to use violence in fighting for our cause, but by non-participation in anything you believe is evil. Some situations need calm and silence for answers. So let us follow our father of nation and develop our country. Thank you. Have a peaceful day. Jeyanthi.
Good morning everyone. I am Bibian John Joseph of 10B. I am going to speak about Mahatma Gandhiji. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was a leader of nationalism in British-ruled India. He is more commonly called Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma is an honorific word which means a great soul. He was first called this in 1914 in South Africa. He was also called Bapu in India, which means a father. Okay, now let us see about his life in detail. Gandhiji was born on October 2nd, 1869 in Porbandar, Gujarat in India. Several members of his family worked for the government of the state. When Gandhiji was 18 years old, he went to study law in England. After he became a lawyer, he went to the British colony of South Africa, where he experienced laws that said people with dark skin had fewer rights than people with light skin. When traveling through South Africa, Gandhiji was also kicked out of a first-class train because of his skin color. So, Gandhiji started protesting against segregation. So, he decided then to become a political activist so he could help in changing these unfair laws. In 1914, when Gandhi returned to India, he decided to again lead a march against a law called the Rowlatt Act. But then the protest turned violent and people started to kill the protesters. As like this, Gandhiji also led a salt march in 1930. People of many different religions and ethnic groups lived in British India. Many people thought that the country should break into separate countries so that different groups could have their own countries. In particular, many people thought that Hindus and Muslims must have a separate country. Gandhiji was a Hindu, but he liked ideas from many religions including Islam, Judaism and Christianity, and thought that people of all religions must have the same rights. In 1938, Gandhi resigned from Congress. He said that he was no longer able to work through Congress to unite the divisions in caste and religion. He also felt that he had little to offer to the political process. Gandhiji was the one who led the country in gaining their independence. January 30, 1948, Mahatma Gandhi was shot dead by an Hindu activist Nathuram Godse because he thought that Mahatma Gandhi was too respectful to the Muslims. Though he is not alive today, he lives in the heart of everyone in our country. Thank you.
Good morning, all. If we want to reach real peace in this world, we should start educating children. This quote was given by our famous freedom fighter Mahatma Gandhi. It is indeed rare for someone to create as great an impact on a nation as Mahatma Gandhi did with India. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was an Indian lawyer, politician, and anti-colonial nationalist. Furthermore, Gandhi came forward with a highly successful non-violent resistance against British rule. Mahatma Gandhi came into this world on October 2, 1869. This personality was born in an Indian Gujarati family. Mahatma Gandhi fought for civil rights by employing non-violent resistance in South Africa. When Mahatma Gandhi came to South Africa, he had to deal with racial discrimination due to his skin color. Once, while traveling on a stagecoach along with Europeans, he was asked to sit near the driver on the floor. Mahatma Gandhi came forward with his refusal as clearly this was a great humiliation for him. Consequently, Gandhi had to suffer beating because of his refusal. Ultimately, Gandhiji began to question the standing of his people in the British Empire. Mahatma Gandhi came back to India in 1915. Gandhi became a famous leading Indian nationalist. After his return, Gandhi became part of the Indian National Congress. In 1920, this man took leadership of the Congress. As a part of the freedom struggle, Gandhi launched important movements like Champaran Satyagraha, Keda Satyagraha, Khilafat movement, non-cooperation movement, Sal Satyagraha, civil disobedience movement, and Quit India movement. This shows the immense contribution of this man towards the Indian independence. Mahatma Gandhi launched Quit India movement on 8 August 1942 during Second World War to drive British rule out of India. In this movement, Gandhi delivered do or die speech. On 15 June 2007, the United Nations General Assembly voted to establish 2nd October as International Day of Nonviolence. Gandhiji showed the world that freedom can be achieved through peace. Mahatma Gandhi was a huge advocate of nonviolence. In fact, we can safely say that he was the originator of the principle of nonviolence. He was the first person to apply this concept on such a massive political scale. This man always preached people regarding the importance of ahimsa or nonviolence. He has written a famous autobiography, The Story of My Experiments with Truth. One incident which clearly shows Gandhi's staunch support for nonviolence was the Chaura incident. He was a staunch man who would never tolerate the tarnishing of his movement with any kind of violence. Mahatma Gandhi was a man who gave his whole life to the nation. No doubt people refer to him as the father of nation. His empathy for the poor, oppressed and lower caste people is absolutely unparalleled. This great man continues to command respect not only in India but all over the world. Finally, I end my speech with his quote, "Live as if you are to die tomorrow. Learn as if you are to live forever." Thank you.
Freedom is never dear at any price. It is the breath of life. What would a man not pay for living? Said by Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. A very good morning to the excellences, respected principals, sir, teachers and my dear colleagues. Today, a 2nd October, the birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhiji. We celebrate this day with great enthusiasm every year to pay tribute to the father of our nation as well as remember his courageous deeds on the way of independence struggle for the country from British rule. We celebrate Gandhi Jeyanthi as one of the great national holidays all over the India. If you don't ask, you don't get it. Action expresses priorities, said by Gandhiji. Quit India slogans were launched to force Britishers to leave India.
It has been considered as the most powerful movement by Mahatma Gandhi. Who can forget Gandhi's famous slogan, "Do or die"? And that too was compressed during this campaign. Where there is love, there is life. He always followed the path of non-violence, truth and peace. He also guided his fellow citizens to follow Ahimsa, Satya and Shanti. He adopted the idea of Satyagraha for the Indian independence movements. He proved that the non-violence is the most powerful sword. Gandhiji states himself as a Hindu very strongly, but he defined who is Hindu in a different dimension. Gandhiji's life story has always been an inspiration for us. As he was an ardent follower of the King Harichandra, he made everyone believe in the power of unity. He proved that everything is possible through truth and non-violence. Yes, Gandhiji is one of the great respectable person. We can say many things about him. So, on this special day, we should remember his life and follow his path for peaceful India.
Good morning. My name is M. Sriharshini. I am going to talk on the topic Gandhi and new weapon Ahimsa. Gandhi said that there are many causes I would die for. There is not a single cause I would kill for. Ahimsa. Ahimsa literally means non-injury and non-killing. It implies the total avoidance of harming any kind of living creature, not only by deeds but also by words and in thoughts. For Gandhi, Ahimsa is a tool to social change. Gandhi learned the lesson of non-violence from his wife when he tried to blend her to his will. He determined resistance to his will on the one hand and a quiet submission to the suffering of his stupidity involved on the other hand ultimately made him ashamed on himself and cured him of his stupidity in thinking of that he was born to rule her, and in end she became his teacher in non-violence. His non-violence demands universal love. His non-violence is not merely kindness to all living creatures. His love for non-violence is superior to every other thing. Ahimsa is ever-growing concept. His mission is to convert every Indian, every Englishman and finally the world to non-violence for regulating mutual relations, whether political, economic, social or religious. His non-violence does not admit of running away from danger and leaving the dear ones from unprotected. Gandhiji had no other weapon but non-violence. He successfully implemented the rule of non-violence in the struggle for independence. All his experiments in Ahimsa had taught him that non-violence in practice means common labor with the body. The Gandhian concept of non-violence is not merely confined to resisting in the practice of violence. It involves removal of hatred, animosity, revengefulness and any thought of violence from the mind. Non-violence is an expression of tremendous power of mind and soul over brute force. It is not enough to desist from the practical of violence. One must approve violence entirely from the heart with all-embracing power of love and universal fraternity as a matter of uncompromising principle in life. Through violent means, both victory and defeat become sterile. The more the weapons of violence, the more misery to humankind. The tramp of violence ends in carnival of mourning for departed ones. Gandhi was always conscious that everyone was not ready for holding to truth and non-violence. It takes fairly strenuous course of training to attain a mental state of non-violence. The perfect state is reached only when mind, body and speech are in proper coordination. He held that disputes and bloodshed in the name of religion was the height of ignorance. Everyone should worship God according to his own faith and live at peace with others. In a trouble-torn world today, the paradise of permanent peace can only come through the Gandhian way of truth and non-violence. Sooner or later, the world will have to adopt the eternal principles or laws of life exemplified by Gandhiji to get rid of the present crisis in every sphere of life, making it strictly principled and meaningful with the subliminal purpose. Years may pass, but the impressions left behind by Ahimsa will remain as a sculpture. Thank you.
Good morning to all. My name is Mrs. Danyashri from 9th standard. Today we all are gathered here to celebrate the birthday of Mahatma Gandhiji. This is Gandhiji's 150th birth anniversary. Why Gandhi Jayanthi is celebrated? Gandhi Jayanthi is celebrated to remember Gandhiji's principles of peace and non-violence. He was the devotee of truth and non-violence. In this honor, the United Nations General Assembly has announced this day as the International Day of Non-Violence on 15th June 2007. Now let's discuss about Gandhiji. Gandhiji's full name was Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. He was born in small coastal town of Gujarat in 1869. In 1888, he completed his law in UK and then shifted to South Africa. Gandhiji, being such a great leader, preferred to wear khadi clothes. He never accepted to British culture and always followed the old traditional culture of India. He always encouraged the people of India to have faith in themselves and fight for their rights. When Mahatma Gandhi came to South Africa, he had to deal with racial discrimination due to his skin color. Once while traveling on a stagecoach along with Europeans, he was asked to sit near the driver on the floor. Mahatma Gandhi came forward with his refusal as clarity. This was a great humiliation for him. Consequently, Gandhi had to suffer beating because of this refusal. Let's talk about Gandhiji's struggle for independence and non-violence. Mahatma Gandhi came back to India in 1915. By this time, there was a significant escalation in the reputation of this man. Furthermore, Mahatma Gandhi became a part of the Indian National Congress. In 1920, this man took leadership of the Congress. As part of the freedom struggle, Mahatma Gandhi launched important movements like Champaran Satyagraha, Kheda Satyagraha, Khilafat, Non-Cooperation, Salt Satyagraha, Civil Disobedience and Quit India movement. This shows the immense contribution of the man towards the Indian independence. He has led many important movements for the time. Also, he started Dandi March in 1930 and walked for 400 kilometers. In this year, Time magazine named him Man of the Year. During his struggle, Gandhi has to go to jail several times. Quit India was a call to Britishers to leave India and go. Many leaders and freedom fighters have also contributed their part in getting India's independence. India finally got its independence on 15th August 1947 and we celebrated this day as Independence Day every year. On 31st January 1948, Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated by a Hindu nationalist Nathuram Godse, who was also a member of Hindu Mahasabha. This day mourned the people of the whole of the country was full of sorrow. Today on his birthday, let us remember him and celebrate this day with joy and prosperity. Gandhiji was not born with the title Mahatma. Nobel Prize winning Bengali poet Rabindranath Tagore gave the title of Mahatma to Gandhiji. Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography Satya Sodhanai is one book which guides us to what is right and wrong. His life was inspiration to all of us and the sacrifices he made are our responsibilities now. Let us contribute ourselves to the growth and development of the country to pay a salute to nation's father. A speech is not enough to speak about Mahatma Gandhi's value and deeds, but we as the future of the country can honor him by living our life with principles of truth, peace and non-violence and lead our country to an incredible nation. Jai Hind.
Dear all, good morning. October 2nd, on this divine day and auspicious occasion, this is my pleasant privilege to say something about the only one greatest soul of the world. He is the one who invented a new weapon to fight with enemies called ahimsa or non-violence. He is the only one who was a ceaseless crusader forever. He is the only one who guided our nation to get freedom. He is the one who gave all of us the great divine wisdom. He is the only one who was the ruler of affectionate kingdom. He is the one who was called as second Jesus. He is the one who gave adorable address to our country. That is why India's initial is M. M India, because he is the father of our nation. He made the powerful Britishers to rethink the teachings of their own God Jesus by following non-violent methods. So only the great thinker Louis Fisher called him second Jesus. He is none other than Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. His ahimsa is the only tool available today to protect this entire world from the Third World War. Of course, let us all remember, rewrite, relive Gandhiji's theories written with love and kindness. Mahatma Gandhiji ki jai. Mahatma Gandhiji ki jai. Mahatma Gandhiji ki jai. Jai Hind.